Have you ever wondered how all the diverse races, cultures, and nations of the world share a common story that began thousands of years ago? In just a few moments, you're going to discover how the Bible traces every human lineage back to a single origin, and why understanding this can completely change how you see yourself and others. Stay tuned to learn how ancient migrations, environmental adaptations, and divine providence shaped the rich tapestry of humanity. By the end of this video, you'll gain a deeper appreciation for the unity we share beneath our differences and find inspiration to view every person with greater respect and value. Don't miss these enlightening insights. Watch until the end for a perspective that will transform your understanding of human diversity. And before we dive in, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss more life-changing biblical insights like this one. Acts 17:26. And he has made from one blood every nation of men to dwell on all the face of the earth, and has determined their pre-appointed times and the boundaries of their dwellings. In the beginning, the Bible tells us that God created the first humans, Adam and Eve, in the book of Genesis. This creation story is foundational to understanding the origin of all people. Genesis 1:26-27 states, "Then God said, 'Let us make man in our image according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth.' So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him, male and female. He created them." This passage is powerful because it emphasizes that all humans, regardless of race, share a common origin. We are all created in the image of God, which means we have inherent value and dignity. This concept is crucial because it underscores the unity of humanity from the very beginning. After the creation of Adam and Eve, humanity faced a turning point with the Great Flood, a story recounted in Genesis. This catastrophic event reshaped the earth and humanity, wiping out all but Noah and his family. Genesis 7:23 tells us, "So he destroyed all living things which were on the face of the ground, both man and cattle, creeping thing and bird of the air. They were destroyed from the earth. Only Noah and those who were with him in the ark remained alive." Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. These 3 men and their descendants repopulated the earth after the floodwaters receded. Genesis 9:18-19 states, "Now the sons of Noah who went out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and from these the whole earth was populated." This passage is crucial because it indicates that the diverse populations of the world all stem from these 3 families. Shem's descendants settled in the Middle East and parts of Asia. Ham's descendants moved to Africa and parts of the Middle East, while Japheth's descendants spread into Europe and other parts of Asia. This dispersion laid the foundation for the racial and ethnic diversity we see today. Each group adapted to their specific environments, leading to variations in physical characteristics, languages, and cultures. This spread and adaptation are part of God's divine plan. In Genesis 10, known as the Table of Nations, we see a detailed account of the descendants of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. It serves as a genealogical record tracing the roots of various nations back to Noah's sons. This chapter highlights the interconnectedness of all humanity, showing that despite our differences, we share a common ancestry. Japheth's descendants played a significant role in the spread of human civilization into Europe and parts of Asia. According to Genesis 10:2-5, Japheth's sons were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras. Each of these sons founded different peoples and nations, which eventually settled in various regions across Europe and Asia. Gomer's descendants are believed to have settled in the areas around the Black Sea, which later became parts of regions known today as Eastern Europe and parts of Western Asia. The descendants of Gomer include the peoples known as the Cimmerians and the Scythians, who were known for their nomadic lifestyles and warrior culture. Magog's descendants are often associated with the Scythians as well, a group of ancient nomadic tribes known for their skills in horseback riding and archery. They roamed the steppes of what is now southern Russia and Ukraine, influencing the cultures and societies they encountered. Madai is traditionally associated with the Medes, an ancient Iranian people people who played a crucial role in the development of Persian civilization. The Medes settled in the area that is now northwestern Iran and formed a significant part of the Median Empire. Javan's descendants are associated with the ancient Greeks. The name Javan is often linked to the Ionians, one of the 4 major Greek tribes. The Greeks made significant contributions to Western civilization, including philosophy, democracy, and the arts. Cities like Athens and Sparta became centers of culture and learning that shaped the development of European history. Tubal and Meshech are often connected with ancient peoples who settled in the region around the modern-day Caucasus Mountains and Anatolia, modern Turkey. These peoples engaged in trade and warfare, influencing the early cultures of Europe and Asia Minor. Tiras is traditionally linked to the Thracians, an ancient group of tribes that inhabited parts of southeastern Europe, including what is now Bulgaria, Greece, and Turkey. The Thracians were known for their warrior society and artistic achievements, influencing the cultures around them. A significant moment for Japheth's descendants was the migration period, also known as the Barbarian invasions, which occurred during late antiquity and the early medieval periods. During this time, various tribes, including those descended from Japheth, such as the Goths, Vandals, and Huns, moved across Europe. These movements led to the fall of the Western Roman Empire and the formation of new kingdoms and cultures. The spread of Japheth's descendants into Europe also saw the rise of various important civilizations and cultures that laid the foundation for modern Europe. Their migrations and settlements led to the establishment of new societies and the spread of ideas, technologies, and cultural practices that would shape the future of the continent. The story of the Tower of Babel is one of the most fascinating narratives in the Bible, found in Genesis 11, 1-9. This event explains the origin of different languages and the dispersion of people across the earth. At this time, all humans spoke a single language and lived together in one place. They decided to build a city with a tower that reached the heavens to make a name for themselves and avoid being scattered. Genesis 11, 4-5 states, "And they said, 'Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth.' But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built." This ambitious project demonstrated human unity, but also their pride and desire to challenge God's authority. In response, God intervened to disrupt their plans. Genesis 11, 7-8 reveals God's actions. "Come, let us go down and there confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of all the earth, and they ceased building the city." God's decision to confuse their language had a profound impact. Suddenly, unable to understand one another, the people were forced to abandon their project and spread out across the globe. This dispersion led to the formation of different languages, cultures, and nations, marking the beginning of the diverse human societies we see today. The Tower of Babel story highlights several powerful ideas. First, it underscores the limits of human ambition when it challenges divine authority. Despite their unified effort, the people's plan was thwarted by God's will, demonstrating that human endeavors must align with God's purposes. Second, it explains the origins of linguistic diversity. By confusing their language, God ensured that humans would spread out and populate the earth. Third, the story of Babel illustrates the importance of communication and understanding among people. The confusion of languages created barriers, but it also set the stage for the richness of human cultural diversity. The story of Jacob, also known as Israel, and his descendants, provides another layer of understanding about the origins and dispersal of peoples, including those who might be considered the ancestors of white populations or the descendants of Japheth. Jacob, the grandson of Abraham, had 12 sons who became the patriarchs of the 12 tribes of Israel. This narrative is found in Genesis 35, 22-26. Jacob's descendants initially settled in the region of Canaan, but due to famine, they migrated to Egypt. The subsequent exodus, led by Moses, brought them back to Canaan, which became the land of Israel. This return and settlement formed the basis of the Israelite nation, which played a crucial role in the ancient Near East. The connection to Japheth's descendants comes into focus through the interactions between the Israelites and other nations. One notable aspect is the intermarriages and alliances that occurred over time. The Israelites, during their conquests and expansions, interacted with various peoples, including those descended from Japheth, who had settled in nearby regions. The biblical narrative shows that the descendants of Shem, Ham, and Japheth did not remain isolated, but often interacted, traded, and sometimes intermarried. This mixing of lineages is evident in several biblical accounts. During King David's reign, many foreign mercenaries and allies, including those from Japheth's line, joined Israel. The presence of various peoples within Israelite territory, including Philistines, Hittites, and others, suggests a blending of cultures and genetic lines. Moreover, the influence of surrounding nations on Israel, especially during periods of exile and return, also indicates a mingling of populations. The Babylonian and Assyrian exiles brought the Israelites into contact with diverse groups, further enhancing the genetic and cultural exchange. The descendants of Japheth, particularly those who migrated into Europe, contributed to the genetic and cultural makeup of many European populations. Historical records and genetic studies suggest that as these populations moved and settled in different regions, they adapted to various climates and environments, leading to the development of physical characteristics, including lighter skin tones, which are often associated with Europeans. The Bible, in Job 12:7-10, highlights the interconnectedness of God's creation. But ask the animals, and they will teach you, or the birds in the sky, and they will tell you, or speak to the earth, and it will teach you, or let the fish in the sea inform you. Which of all these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? In his hand is the life of every creature and the breath of all mankind. This passage underscores the idea that all of creation, including humans, is influenced by God's design and the natural world he created. One of the most striking examples of environmental adaptation is the variation in skin color among human populations. Skin color is largely determined by the amount of melanin, a pigment produced in the skin. Melanin protects the skin from harmful ultraviolet (UV) radiation from the sun. Populations that have lived for extended periods in regions with high UV radiation, such as Africa, have developed darker skin to protect against intense sunlight. Conversely, as some groups migrated to areas with less intense sunlight, such as Europe, there was less need for high levels of melanin. In these environments, having lighter skin was advantageous because it allowed for better synthesis of vitamin D in conditions of lower sunlight. Over many generations, natural selection favored individuals with lighter skin in these regions, leading to the predominance of lighter skin tones among populations in Europe. The descendants of Japheth, who spread into Europe and parts of Asia, experienced these environmental pressures as they settled in different climates. Their physical characteristics, including skin color, adapted to their new environments. This process of adaptation can be seen as part of God's providential plan, allowing humans to thrive in diverse habitats across the globe. In addition to skin color, other physical traits, such as body shape and size, have also adapted to different environments. Populations in colder climates often develop stockier builds with shorter limbs, which help retain heat. In contrast, populations in hotter climates develop taller and leaner bodies to dissipate heat more effectively. The concept of divine providence in the diversity of humanity is a profound and powerful idea that underscores the intentionality behind the differences we see among people today. According to the Bible, God's providential hand guides the unfolding of history and the development of human societies. This theme can be found throughout the scriptures, highlighting the belief that God has a purpose for every aspect of his creation, including the diversity of races and cultures. Acts 17:26 provides a key verse that encapsulates this idea. And he has made from one blood every nation of men to dwell on all the face of the earth, and has determined their pre-appointed times and the boundaries of their dwellings. This passage suggests that God not only created all humans from one origin, but also orchestrated their distribution and development across the earth. Each group's time and place in history are part of God's grand design. This perspective encourages us to see the diversity among people not as random mutations or accidents of history, but as part of a deliberate plan by God. The differences in skin color, language, culture, and traditions are all elements of a tapestry woven by divine providence. This understanding can foster a sense of unity and respect among different groups, recognizing that all are part of God's creation. One of the powerful ways to illustrate this concept is through the story of the nations and their roles in the biblical narrative. The Bible contains numerous examples of how different nations and peoples, each with their unique characteristics, have been used by God to fulfill His purposes. For instance, the Israelites were chosen to be God's people, but their story is intertwined with those of many other nations, from the Egyptians and Babylonians to the Romans and Greeks. The interaction between these nations often led to the exchange of ideas, technologies, and cultural practices, enriching the human experience. During the Babylonian exile, the Israelites were exposed to new ideas and ways of thinking, which influenced their religious and cultural development. Similarly, the spread of Hellenistic culture through Alexander the Great's conquests created a common cultural framework that facilitated the spread of the gospel in the New Testament era. The diversity of cultures can also be seen as a reflection of the diversity within God's creation. Just as the natural world is filled with a variety of plants, animals, and landscapes, so too is the human world filled with a variety of peoples. This diversity is a testament to God's creativity and the richness of His creation. It shows that God's image is not limited to a single form, but is expressed in many different ways through different peoples and cultures. Moreover, the providential plan of God involves the movement and migration of peoples throughout history. Migrations have played a crucial role in the development of civilizations. The movements of peoples, whether voluntary or forced, have led to significant cultural exchanges and the spread of ideas. For instance, the migration of Indo-European-speaking peoples, believed to be descendants of Japheth, into Europe and Asia, significantly shaped the linguistic and cultural landscape of these regions. The story of Ruth, a Moabite woman who became an ancestor of King David and ultimately Jesus, illustrates how God's providence can work through individuals from different backgrounds. Ruth's inclusion in the genealogy of Jesus highlights the idea that God's plan transcends ethnic and cultural boundaries, bringing together people from different backgrounds to fulfill His purposes. In addition, the story of Joseph in Egypt demonstrates how God can use the movement of people to achieve His plans. Sold into slavery by his brothers, Joseph rose to a position of power in Egypt and was instrumental in saving his family from famine. This story shows how God can use difficult and challenging circumstances, including displacement and migration, to bring about His will. The New Testament continues this theme of divine providence and diversity. The day of Pentecost, as described in Acts 2, is a powerful example. On this day, people from many different nations were gathered in Jerusalem, and they all heard the apostles speaking in their own languages. This miraculous event symbolized the breaking down of language barriers and the uniting of diverse peoples under the message of the gospel. It underscored the idea that the good news of Jesus Christ is for all people, regardless of their ethnic or cultural background. Paul's ministry further illustrates how the early church embraced diversity. As an apostle to the Gentiles, Paul traveled extensively, preaching to people of various backgrounds. His letters to the early churches often addressed issues of cultural and ethnic diversity, urging believers to see themselves as part of one body in Christ. In Galatians 3:28, Paul writes, "There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither slave nor free, there is neither male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus." This verse emphasizes the unity of believers in Christ, transcending all human distinctions. The concept of divine providence and human diversity also has profound implications for how we view and treat others. Recognizing that every person is part of God's plan encourages us to treat all people with dignity and respect. It challenges us to see beyond superficial differences and appreciate the unique contributions that each person and culture bring to the world. Furthermore, Understanding the providential nature of human diversity can inspire us to work toward greater unity and reconciliation. It calls us to celebrate the richness of different cultures while also seeking common ground and building bridges between communities. This perspective aligns with the biblical vision of a diverse yet united humanity, as seen in the vision of the new creation in Revelation 7:9. Where people from every nation, tribe, and language stand before the throne of God in worship. The divine providence in human diversity is a powerful concept that enriches our understanding of God's plan for humanity. It highlights the intentionality behind the differences among people and calls us to embrace and celebrate this diversity as part of God's creative design. Through the stories and teachings of the Bible, we see how God's hand guides the development of human societies, bringing together diverse peoples to fulfill His purposes. This understanding fosters a sense of unity, respect, and appreciation for the rich tapestry of human cultures, reflecting the beauty and complexity of God's creation. In conclusion, we have explored the fascinating and profound biblical perspectives on the origin and diversity of humanity. Starting from the creation of Adam and Eve, we saw how all humans share a common origin, created in the image of God. The descendants of Noah, particularly Japheth, spread into Europe and Asia, adapting to their environments and contributing to the rich tapestry of human civilization. The story of the Tower of Babel highlighted the divine intervention that led to the development of different languages and cultures, while the narrative of Jacob's descendants showed how God's chosen people interacted with other nations, further enriching human history. We also examined the influence of climate and environment on physical characteristics, illustrating how God's providential plan allowed humans to thrive in diverse habitats. Lastly, we considered the concept of divine providence in human diversity, emphasizing how the differences among us are part of God's grand design, reflecting His creativity and the unity of all people under His care.